Jason Gets Candid on IROKOtv.
So we had no idea that it would work. I had no idea it would work. It was just another project that I felt was interesting and I felt someone had to explore.
Opens up and challenges.
Always challenges. Nigeria is a challenging place. I think there'll always be challenges.
And yes, an advice to upcoming web entrepreneurs.
I think you need to be patient.
Okay.
Absolutely. It will not work for very long.
All of these and more on this webisode of Njoku on social media.
Welcome to another exciting webisode of Njoku Show. You know, last webisode I told you that we are going to tell you we are going to be bringing a start of stories to your screen. While we're telling you these stories, we want to know how the start of your music, how they came and started them, what gave them the first push, how they got funded, where the inspiration came from, the team that worked with them, everything you need to know so that if you're planning on starting your own business, or maybe you just need an inspiration to move your team from one step to the other, always come to the show. Let these founders tell you all the strategies, all the stories behind their stuff. So this week webisode we are bringing to you Jason Njoku to tell you all the stories behind IROKOtv. You know how IROKOtv has been an inspiration to Africa. So I think really Jason opened a lot of web TV in Nigeria. Yes, he did. Before he came, there were not so much videos like we have now. But now we have so many web TV. Of course, we also have 2TV. So we cannot do nothing but to just say thank you to the person that opened all of these ways. So meeting Jason was very emotional for me. He's somebody I've always looked up to. I look up to him. I admire his passions a lot because web TV is what I love doing. So meeting Jason for me was just a blast. Yes, it was a blast. It was emotional. I felt honored and excited to meet him, and he's such a humble, nice person. So, welcome with me, Jason Njoku, to the Njoku Show.
Sure.
So, what made you think then when videos were very popular in Nigeria and bandwidth was not as good as it is now? Why did you think that online TV was going to work in Nigeria?
Well, TV works. I think, you know, people have limited ways to be able to kind of entertain themselves everywhere in the world. TV still dominates most of people's free time. I think in the West it's about 6 hours a day is spent watching sort of TV in some form. So I felt that, you know, coming from the UK, viewing habits were pretty cemented there. The viewing habits were equally the same. If you go to sort of people's households, they will usually have TVs. Yeah. Whether they're on or not because of electricity is an issue, but it still meant that people had TVs. Yeah. So I definitely felt that the viewing habits were sort of equally great. Okay. But at the same time, I guess, Nollywood had emerged a very, very sort of like strong platform for Africans to watch and enjoy African content. But it seemed to be not very well distributed outside of Nigeria. Okay. So I think my perspective coming from the UK and returning back to Nigeria was the content is so amazing, so powerful, so well embraced in Nigeria. Didn't seem to have good distribution outside of Nigeria. So actually we was built it from the outside in, so exporting sort of great Nigerian entertainment. So we had no idea that it would work. I had no idea it would work. It was just another project that I felt was interesting and I felt someone had to explore. But I guess we're very fortunate to kind of, be in the right place, definitely the right time. Yeah. So did you just sit down one day and just upload one video and then you started it? So the interesting thing was, this is 2009 when we first started looking at the opportunity. Okay. The interesting thing was then there were restrictions on the kind of videos you could upload onto YouTube. So at that time, YouTube actually had a limit to how much a movie or a piece of content could last. So I think at the time it was about 15 minutes or so. Okay. So we felt that people who were without permission just uploading content on YouTube, we felt that there was an interesting opportunity for us to legitimize that. Okay. So people would take a 60-minute movie, cut it into like 4 or 5 parts, and then people would just genuinely enjoy it. We felt if you could bring full-length movies, if you can kind of get the right permissions from people here in Lagos and in the East, you should be able to build like an interesting kind of viewer based on that. So jumped on the plane, came to Lagos, spoke to some of the guys out in the Alaba market. Paid them for permission to upload their stuff onto YouTube. And at the beginning, it literally was taking their CD, ripping the content from the CD, just uploading it just to see what happens. But the key thing is that we were the first people to actually legitimately pay for the movies.
Why did we move to IROKOtv from Nollywood Love?
So the interesting thing was that at the time we didn't have enough money to license the content, digitize the content, and then make money from it. The platform expenses were just too much for us at the time, so we felt the easiest partner would be YouTube. It was a great place to kind of start the business on. After uploading, I think about 1,000 movies onto YouTube, across the whole of 2011, we felt that at the time there was a limit to how much money you could genuinely make on YouTube. So what we then did was we actually looked at how do we then essentially go beyond YouTube. We raised some financing, which enabled us to kind of like have the confidence and have the capital to be able to sort of build out our own platform. Again, that was 1st of December 2011. We decided to launch IROKOtv. We launched it. We were still very big content suppliers to YouTube, but we typically supply like clips as opposed to full-length movies. And also, we feel that like no really large sort of industries, I guess you could say, have been built on free. So it's very difficult to build like a big sort of movie industry on free. So
Iroko is like a kind of familiar name. I think it means something tall in my own childhood understanding, because when we see tall trees, like these trees are stored as Iroko. So what's in that name?
So again, so the full name is Iroko Partners, and we kind of want it to be like strong partners. So again, it's like when I came into the industry, I was really just a guy with like an idea, right? So I felt that the name had to be quite strong. The interesting thing was that in my mum's place, there's a massive tree. And to my mind, I was like, oh, what's the name of that tree? It'd be really cool to call it that tree. It's like a strong tree. So I kind of Googled and I saw like, Iroko trees. So I saw like Iroko Partners. Literally like 10 minutes. The only problem was that it was only like about a year afterwards that I realised that tree is an Udara tree. It's actually not an Iroko tree.
Is that tree?
It's an Udara, which is the
I know. If you had known that tree was Udara,
it would have been Udara. But the interesting thing obviously was that there are very few words in Nigeria which have the same meaning throughout all of the tribes. I think Iroko is one of those words that if you're from the east, it's an Iroko tree, you understand it. If you're from the west, it's Iroko, you understand it. If you're from the north, it's Iroko, you understand it. So it's like one of those very peculiar words which has the same meaning to like everybody in like all languages. So I guess I was fortunate in that aspect. But again, the idea obviously wanted to be like strong partners to the industry.
I think the name really makes sense. You can't just each time I hear of IROKOtv news or is it that you winning one investor again? You can't just stop winning. So how does this thing happen?
After years of losing, it's but again, it's like,
was it actually a loss? If they have lost on IROKOtv?
Well, the thing is like we're like a really noisy company in the sense that like we seem to achieve a lot, but in reality we're kind of really, and I mean you've spoken to the guys. There's a lot of work that we need to do, but we're very early. I think internet companies by their very nature are quite sort of sexy. People kind of like it. And we're in entertainment. We're in like movies. We've done stuff in music. So like, we're in a sort of very kind of, I would say, visible industry. So I think it's one of those things where, again, 2009, 10, internet in Nigeria wasn't a big thing. We were very, very early to that internet trend. You can say the same with like the Kongas of the world and the Pagas of the world. So again, we all started roughly sort of 2009, 10, 11, sort of 12 in the case of Konga. So like, there's a big wave of sort of internet activity happening, and we just happen to be quite early to that. So I wouldn't call it winning, I would call it we're just making good progress and being very noisy about it.
You do have a very good PR person, so it's always getting you guys on videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, so why did you yank us off the free plan? Because I'm just one person that always waits for the Plus movies to become free.
Yes.
Then one day, as I usually do, just went to the site, and then every place was blocked up. I had to sign up to watch even the free ones.
Did you sign up?
Yes, of course. Okay, now, was it already in plan? Was it something that was already in plan that you were going to do that, or did something actually in the middle?
So the thing is, I think like we've gone through sort of stages. So at the first one, completely free, all on YouTube, everything there. Then we moved from YouTube to IROKOtv.
Okay.
And that was largely free. For the first 9 months, it was free.
Yeah.
Then we moved to a hybrid where part was free, part was paid for.
Okay.
Hence, you were waiting for the Plus movies to move over. What we found was that we had over 1 million people just like you.
Okay.
And with the advertising revenue, you will see it was about 15, 16 cents. Cents per free user. So in a month, you would basically make 15 cents of you.
Wow.
But if you were paying like $5 or $6, whatever it was at the time.
Okay.
So the difference is I can make 15 cents of you as a free user, $6 as a paid user. So it made sense for us to focus actually on the paid users. And we feel again that like also the cost in 2010 was maybe $200, $300 for a movie.
Okay.
By this year, the costs were now anywhere between sort of like, $7,000 to like $25,000.
Okay.
So the cost of the content is going up. So we have the best movies because we pay the best prices.
Yeah.
We needed to find a way to kind of like just rebalance that equation. And we felt that as a company, we just wanted to focus really, really, really on the people who appreciated what we were doing enough to depart with some of their money and pay us for it.
Not the free users like us. Anyway, you got us because I signed up immediately.
Yeah,
alright, so next question will be we recently saw the Bollywood, the telenovas. Was it something you planned for, or is it just an add-on for us to keep watching Bollywood?
Well, the thing is, I think it's really important that you think of someone's viewing habits. So, for example, you're not a Bollywood person, as you said, or you might be somebody into the garb, but there are lots of people out there who are not.
Yeah.
And when we asked our audience, we asked them 3 really basic questions. There are about 3,000 people in Africa who respond to this survey. 1, would you be willing to pay for the service? Yes. They had a great experience, they genuinely enjoyed it, they're willing to pay. 2, outside of Bollywood, what else do you watch? And people gave us indication of like Black American content, telenovelas, Korean content, Bollywood content. So we're like, actually, you know what? There's a lot of sort of unserved demand which is out there. We kind of want to at least try and fulfill it. So the idea was that if we're going to ask someone to pay, and it's just Bollywood, that's great. But then it's just Bollywood. Is there any way we can kind of broaden that? To say, well, take Bollywood and you know what, take some other stuff as well.
Okay.
So we kind of felt that we wanted to almost, sit side by side with the Go TVs, the Star Times, the DSTVs, and say, look, we have a good base of content as well.
Yeah.
And we're asking you to pay very good value for that. Would you be interested in paying? And that's kind of what the idea was about. Okay. It's taken like 6 months to kind of go from, we're going to do this, to actually doing it.
Okay.
So it's been like a gradual process, but it's definitely part of our future going forward.
Okay, so we will always have the Bollywood and every other content in the Nollywood. Okay, so even though I've gone around, I've talked to almost all the head of departments, I've gone to Spark. Yep. So Spark is a very exciting startup. You guys say you're a company that builds companies. Yep. So my mind was actually that maybe you guys just source for startups and fund them. Okay. But I've been told it's like you guys build them. So at what point, as IROKO partners, you guys sit down and start thinking of creating other startups?
Well, I think it's for us. It's really interesting and frustrating at the same time. The vast majority of our money is actually made not in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. So about 90% of our revenue is actually made in the West. Okay. So it was so we're sitting here, we're seeing all these amazing things happening around us. Okay. We're seeing that the internet will have a dramatic impact on Nigeria. We're seeing also that video is the last thing which kind of like works on the internet. It's so data intensive, right? Yeah. And then most people online don't expect video to work. That's the normal sort of default mode, it's not going to work. So, Bashan and I, being children of the internet, if you will, we said it made sense for us to use some of our local operating knowledge, some of our relationships with investors to turn around and find out how we can kind of support the next sort of wave of young, sort of high potential internet companies being created.
Okay.
So that was the idea. We raised $2.5 million from some of our friends and just people we knew, people we actually worked with.
Okay.
And we said, look, we want to make a very long-term bet on Nigerian internet. We obviously had some credibility at that stage, and we've just been investing in companies over the last couple of years.
Wow. So, when I was talking to your team, there are people who are so passionate about their jobs. So, how do you get all these people to join your team, especially getting MDs for SPAC companies? How do you go about sourcing for all of that?
Well, the thing is that if you look around, it's a very young company. I think Bastian and I are some of the oldest people in the company. So I think it's if you look at internet across the whole world, it's usually young people. It's a young people's game.
Yeah.
It's not one chairman who's 60 years old who's pot belly sitting back thinking this is how things are going to be done. It's not that. It's like very young people.
Yeah.
And there's a youth unemployment problem here in Nigeria. My understanding is about 55% unemployment among young people.
Yeah.
Apparently it's about 90% under and unemployed in Nigeria as well. So it's like a big unemployment in the youth situation. We've actually just hired about 30 people this month more.
Wow.
And I think there are lots of young, really genuinely passionate Nigerians who just need a chance. I think if you're smart, without connections in Nigeria, one of those places is quite hard to kind of make it, especially in like more knowledge-based activities. Usually it's because someone's daughter or someone's uncle. That's how it works. We're kind of much more meritocratic on that. So anyone who's really smart, really kind of energetic, wants to get involved in the internet, we're happy to kind of take a look at them and give them the chance. That's always been the culture. That's always been what we kind of believe in. That's the only version of reality. Like we want to keep the company as young as possible.
Okay.
So we can kind of like be as close to the potential market as possible.
Okay.
And I think the key thing is that I believe Africa has the youngest population in the world.
Really?
In terms of average age, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so if you're going to hire for IROKO partners, where do you put the jobs?
So I tweet. We put them on places like job ads. We try to support that local kind of like job aggregators. Okay. Obviously, we have 200 people in this building, so it's good to kind of like allow friends and referrals and stuff. They all go for the same person, same sort of interview process. Yeah. So it's not like, because this person's working there, it's going to make my chances better. It's just that we let people know all the time. But we're hiring all the time. So I think we're always hiring all the time for different roles. So people have walked in and this is what I've done. Is it making me a job? And we've been kind of quite open to kind of like employing people like that.
So is there any vacancy right now?
There is.
Wow. How do they apply? You need to apply for this one.
No, so we have a HR, I believe it's jobs@IROKOpartners.com.
Okay.
So people can just kind of like reach out to us now.
Wow. Doing all of this, you're managing IROKOtv, you're still overseeing SPACs. Do you actually have time for rest?
Not really, but then you're an entrepreneur, you're not supposed to rest. You're supposed to work incredibly hard. So I think I'm 33 now, 34 I guess in December, and I've still got a very long career.
Time to
At some point, my body will naturally slow me down, but until at least I'm kind of 40, I think we're going to be at the stage where we can kind of run really, really hard. But I think we've built a company incredibly quickly in pretty challenging scenarios, and people obviously investing a lot of money in us. Yeah. People don't give you a lot of money if they don't think you're going to work really, 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 really hard. Yeah. I've rarely seen successful entrepreneurs who don't put like 100 hours in a week. It's so difficult not to put that kind of time.
Okay. When I was still trying to prepare for the interview, so I put up a picture and I'm like, what do you want to know about Jensen? And someone says, why don't you always wear this bead?
It's the brand, man. The beads are the brand. No, the interesting thing is, so like, bald with glasses. There are like lots of Nigerians who are bald and wear glasses. Tall, bald and glasses. There are again still lots of Nigerians. So Africans with tall, bald and glasses. No one wears chains like this. Especially in the West as well. So people tend to remember me. Like, other people remember me at the airport from a very long time ago just because they sort of like saw me. There are people who, again, like they'll see me in the newspaper magazine, then they'll be like, is that him? Might not be him, I'm not too sure. But if they see the beat, they're like, okay, yeah, it's him. me, it was part of the brand, and I've been wearing this sort of since I came out to Nigeria. And I was like, you know what? It was like the biggest problem is being remembered.
Is there any challenges whatsoever?
Always challenges. Nigeria is a challenging place. I think there'll always be challenges, and I think the big challenge is for us to kind of make sure that we can kind of like maintain some balance and not spend too much money in one direction whilst that transition happens. But again, like, you know, we're doing very well. We're definitely number one in Africa. We are in a very sort of sexy and exciting space. But it's still hard work, heads down. Past 8 o'clock, you'll see me there. So it's like, it's still a long, long way to go.
Wow. So, they should be expecting to see IROKOtv in the next, let's say, 2 years.
So IROKOtv is 3 years old on the 1st of December.
Okay.
I would just say, hopefully, whatever we're doing now, just do it better.
So what's the advice you have for anyone that wants to start online business?
I think you need to be patient.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It will not work for a very long time.
Okay.
I think I need to caution people that there are no quick wins on the internet.
Okay.
Unless you're doing Yahoo operation. There's no quick wins. You have to be patient.
Alright. Okay, thanks so much. I'm so excited that you gave us this opportunity to have this interview with you. You are a mentor to all of us at IROKOtv. We look up to you. So it's really an honor being here and seeing these exciting people all over this place. I'm excited.
Thank you.
So thanks for employing Nigerians.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. I'm really very, I don't feel like going, but I have to go, so I will make you another website. So, congratulations.